All right, welcome back. This is going to be a quick video, but we're going to be talking about part-time
Line.
or full-time. What is happening here? You have one job. Hey guys, I'm Chris and this is Ray.
We are Dallas-Fort Worth wedding photographers with over 8 years of experience in the industry, and we are passionate about educating and equipping other photographers in their craft and business.
Yeah, so one of the ways we are doing this is this series here on YouTube, where we're going to teach you the foundational pillars that you need to make it as a wedding photographer.
All right, so let's get into it.
So let's get into what it's like to be part-time, full-time, what's best for you, what's best for your lifestyle, and how you should start out. All right, so let's start with part-time. This is probably going to be how you start out because that's how all of us start out. Generally, we don't have, we're not booking high-priced weddings and we're not booking a lot of weddings when we're first getting into the industry. So you are going to need a job to help you with a living before you get full-time into wedding photography. Red Bull
Right.
burps.
Yeah.
She had to have one.
I did. So if you are a part-time wedding photographer and you have another job or other responsibilities or what have you, the temptation can be to fill up your calendar with as many weddings as you can so that you can become full-time. But I want to caution you to be careful when you're doing that, because what you don't want to do is have zero time for yourself because you are on the weekends shooting every single weekend, 1 or 2 weddings a weekend, and then you're working Monday through Friday or whatever you're doing during the week, so that you are completely overwhelmed and then you get burnt out really quickly. So I want to caution you to just know what you can handle and really think about the work that you're accepting and taking on, and make sure that you are leaving leniency in your schedule and margin so that you have time. Because remember, you're not just photographing the weddings. You also need to make sure that you're having time to communicate with your clients throughout the week, because emails can take up quite a bit of time, and admin, social media marketing, plus all of the editing and all of that. So you just want to make sure that if you are part-time, that you are not taking on the load of a full-time photographer and not be aware that there's repercussions if you do that.
Yeah, because you don't want to be working all day Monday through Friday and then also working after that job all night Monday through Friday. It will tire you out. So you do need to have somewhat of a foresight for, when you book your first wedding and it's 9 months in advance. As you keep booking weddings, you got to have that foresight. All right, what's that actually going to look like when the time comes when I'm booking weddings? So start slow, especially if you have a job that is taking care of you at the moment. Adding any wedding to that is just going to give you a little extra cash in hand.
And that might be what you want. You might love what you do during the week, your desk job or whatever it is you're doing. Or you might be a mom or a dad or a parent or a caretaker, and you love doing that, and you just need a little supplemental income, and you know that that's what wedding photography is for you, and it's not something you want to do full time. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
You do not have to be a full-time wedding photographer.
For some of us, part-time might be where it's at, especially if you have a job that you love and you just use this business as just a little extra cash in the pocket, vacation funds, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. This is a great industry.
It's like the ultimate side gig.
It's the ultimate side gig, especially after you establish yourself, and especially if it's your part-time job, you can be very choosy about how many weddings and about what weddings you want. And so you get to be very picky at that point, what clients you're taking on, how much money you're getting from those clients. Like, you get to really decide how much you want this side gig to be. But let's look at what it takes to be the dreaded full-time photographer here.
No, it's not dreaded. It's amazing. So being a full-time photographer, there's pros and cons, just like there are to being a part-time photographer. Obviously, it can be scary becoming a full-time photographer, because there's that fear of, what if I don't book enough, and what am I going to do? And am I going to have to get another job again? And you might have to, but if you are consistent with what you are doing in your business and you are following consistent business practices, that shouldn't be something that you really deal with. But going full time is great if you know that this is what you want to do. Obviously, I have many friends who are wedding photographers on top of being engineers and things like that.
Mhm.
And they love engineering. So there was never really a question that they wanted to do wedding photography full time. But if you are a full-time wedding photographer, you can dedicate a lot more time to it. So you can do a lot more marketing. You can do a lot more influencing, influencing the wedding industry, attending networking events. If you have a dream to do anything that is, like I said, more influential, like speaking or teaching or whatever, then you can definitely make room to pursue that. You can take, for like the first 5 years of my career, I didn't really get tired of shooting a lot of weddings. So we would do like 50 weddings a year.
We had some heavy years.
We did, but it was I love it. I mean, I love
Mhm.
wedding photography. So it didn't feel that hard or heavy.
Yeah.
And I just genuinely enjoyed it. Now we probably shoot 30 weddings a year each. Because we do separate things. So that's still, it's nice having a spouse who does it, because it's like getting the income from 60 weddings, but with the workload of half of that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, so also when we got married, I was a full-time I quit my job as a night nurse and became a full-time wedding photographer. And it was not really on his radar to do wedding photography or videography. And so I honestly kind of trained him to be my second shooter.
So how that started out is she started pretty shortly after high school, I would say. And, we both, we met at the movie theater. That's where we got to know each other. That was our first jobs. And I mean, she worked at the movie theater. She was a night nurse for some time, all while doing the photography.
It wasn't always weddings. It was
it wasn't always weddings. She started,
families.
with just normal photography, whatever she could really get her hands on. To build up her skill and to build up her portfolio and whatnot. But then when she did jump into weddings, it wasn't till we got married till you went to full time.
Yeah. At
that point,
I had you to rely on too. I had a spouse to rely on.
Yeah, at that point, I was still just working odd jobs, but we did have that extra income or that secondary income. Mind it, we weren't making much money at all, but
we lived in a single wide trailer on the river.
But we were able to, use her photography finances and then whatever I had coming in monthly to make it work. And so it was really just a great transition time for her at that point to be able to live a happy married life, and B, to really launch onto her own business at that point. And she had already kind of started she had already kind of started her wedding photography, but it was still being established at that point. Yeah. So
needless to say, I loved doing photography and I loved all of the business side of things. So I knew that going full time was the right decision for me.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who loves the admin and you love the business and the marketing and the networking and all of those things, then full time is probably something that you should consider.
Yeah.
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 So that's all we got on that one. Next, we're going to talk briefly about wedding photography contracts. So that's what we do next.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.